Hi sweet friends, I hope you're all doing great. It's Pearl here to take you on the journey of how I made these custom made masks. Maybe you were wanting to make one for yourself or a friend or family member. So for all my DIYers out there, I hope this will be useful. So let's get started. To start, we're using the adult size small to medium mask size. So you're gonna fold your material over using the grain of your material going this way, and then you're gonna lay your pattern on top. Okay, now if you have some fabric chalk, you can use your fabric chalk to trace the outline. If you do not have fabric chalk, you can use pencil. They both wash out in the wash, so that's fine. Also too, this will not really be showing because you'll use this as the wrong side of your fabric. So make sure you're folding your fabric on the wrong side and cutting it that way. Okay, so just trace your pattern. You can pin it down, but I'm just holding it down because I printed my pattern out of cardstock. That makes it a little bit more sturdy for me to you know, not have to pin it. Okay, so that's one side. So we're just gonna trace another one, lining it up to the fold here. Okay, and then again, outlining it with your chalk. Okay, so now we have two sets of two here. And we're gonna just cut this out now. There's one side. Okay, so you're just going to now, because you have a fold here at the bottom, hold it here, slip your scissors underneath, and then just pull downwards and cut at the same time. Okay, then you have two separate pieces. So do that again for the next one. Okay, so now we're going to get to sewing. This will be our wrong side or the inside, and this will be the outside here. We are going to give this about a ½ inch, quarter to ½ inch seam allowance. At this point, you can pin your material if you find that it's hard to match it up and keep it still. So what I like to do is just put a little pin in the middle. And now we're gonna sew along the curved edge. Okay, so we're gonna reinforce the stitch to begin with and then keep stitching. Now you'll end up with a piece like this. Okay, so this will be the nose. So now what you're going to do is open it out, turn your seam to the right. Okay, that's just how I always do it. You can press this out to make it easier for yourself, but I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch it like this. Just give it a top stitch. So that seam that you just made, have it run on the inner lefts of the presser foot, if that makes sense. This will help to keep everything flat. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing to this piece. Okay, now you finish top stitching your pieces. It's gonna look like this. Now you're gonna take one of your pieces and using these tulip rainbow graffiti fabric markers, I picked these up at Walmart. They're a set of 6. I'm just gonna use these to make my design. You can make any design you want. The sky's the limit, but I'm going to be making a music design. Now because this is for a boy, I'm just going to be mainly using black. So here you can see I am finished my design. This is what I wanted to make. We're going to go ahead and assemble this now. Okay, so this is the right side. Let's just pop that inward, and we're going to take this one and pop it outward, so it's looks like it's for the nose, but really this is the inside. We're going to take the right sides and match them together. So now that they're sort of matched up here, I'm gonna put this aside. You're going to get your 1/8 of an inch elastic. I find you can use the cording that they make, stretchy string they make for masks. You can use any kind of stretchy cording string. I've seen people do it with headbands, but the headbands I don't think will be long enough. For the children, size small to medium, you will need 6.5 inches in length. You may need 6 depending on the size of the child, but my daughter is 9. She uses 6.5 and she finds that's comfortable. So you'll have to play around a little bit with the elastic, you know, kind of measure it out. If you use the adult size large, you may need maybe 7.5 inches to 8 inches, depending on face size. Okay, but these are just the sizes that work well for me. So I am measuring out here to 6, and I'm not stretching my elastic. Okay, so here I am going to measure to 6.5, and I'm just gonna take my chalk or my pencil and I'm gonna mark this here at 6.5. Okay, and once I mark it, I'm just going to cut it. Then I'm going to use this as a guide to cut the second piece. Okay, make sure you're not stretching your elastic as you know, kind of slide your hand down. Okay, there you go. So now we have the 2 pieces of elastic. Now we can pin them into our mask. And now I like to work with the right side on the inside, so that way when I turn it over and I punch this back out, I've got more leeway for the front. Open your corners out and just match it up to the edge, you know, about 1/4 of an inch up from it, from the bottom. Okay, and then just lay your elastic there. Kind of lay it a little bit diagonal, so when you're stitching, you don't stitch over your elastic when you're down here stitching. Okay, so just tuck it in. I'm just gonna tuck it in. I'm gonna match the corners here. Okay, and then you're gonna need a sewing pin or a sewing clamp if you have those. And then just make sure your elastic is straight. You know, it's gonna run a straight path, not twist. Match it up on the other side. Do the same thing on the opposite end of the same side, okay? So here's one side, and then you're gonna do it here on the opposite side. This is gonna be the loop for your ear. One side is done. We're gonna do the same thing for the other side. So now our 4 corners are pinned. What I also do is on the nose, I will go ahead and match this up. And usually I just cut off any excess that's on the top so that I can see the curve and match it up. Okay, and you also want to make sure that your mask is flat. You know, there's no puckers or wrinkles. Okay, so I'm going to pin the middle. And I'm also going to go ahead and do it on this side just to keep it nice and stiff, especially for the bigger masks. You will find you have to pin it a little bit more. Okay, so there we go. I've got everything pinned up. I'm going to now start sewing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from here. Now at the bottom, you're going to leave about a 2 to 3 inches opening so that you can turn it. I would suggest 3 because that makes it easier to turn. Okay, so I'm going to start about here. Okay, and I'm just eyeballing it. You can measure it if you want, but I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to stitch a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. Make sure you reinforce it when you start, and you can remove your pins as you go along. So I like to just reinforce the elastic, so that's why I go over it back and forth. I'm going to just stop about here. That'll give me about 2 to 3 inches at the bottom to turn. I'm gonna go around and just cut off any extra thread. So now you're ready to turn this over. Okay, now you can use the end of a pen to get these edges straight. For me, it's not a big deal. I just kind of pull a little bit on the elastic and I'm good enough. It's good enough for me. You might also want to do that with the nose part. Okay, so up here, you might want to take something and just get this coming up so that you have a nice point. You can see we have an opening here. We're going to need to close that up, and then we're going to at the same time stitch all the way around the mask. That will help it to set better and set flat. Just like when we top stitch, we are going to use the edge of the presser foot as a guide, and since the outside needs to be a little bigger, I'm just going to pull the material down. Now you've got yourself a custom made mask. If you find that this part is out a little bit, you can just put a tiny pleat, like the tiniest pleat, and stitch that over. Okay, and that will help to bring it into your face. So I would say about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch pleat. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up down below. Share it with a friend if you found it useful. Go ahead and subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.